Mhm. Hello, am I audible? First of all, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining this session. Jasveer is an author, podcast host, a behavioral trainer, and award-winning health and safety professional based from Toronto, Canada. And he was also part of a trainer that trained 22,000 volunteers for the Commonwealth Games that were conducted in Delhi, India. Uh, some of the awards that he's received include he was rated as one of the 10 Indian authors for redefining modern literature by Kathmandu Tribune in January 2020. He was recognized by NE8X uh, with Sahitya Kosh Samman Award in Literature. In 2018, he was awarded the IISSM for his contributions towards the health and safety training domain. In 2019, Literature Light recognized him as top 100 debut authors for his debut book, version 1.5. He was named as the author of the fest at the Writing Wizards Fest 2020 for his book Double One Zero, um, out out of the shadows. Um, Apart from that, he's published 6 books and co-authored 2 anthologies so far. The Incredible Mr. Sweets is a coming of age story about which we are going to discuss today. It's a story of an ex-con who finds his calling in life through music. Among his other books are Shehenshah, a story of story of Shreni Shah, the Cancer Conqueror, the Metromaniac Chronicles, through the eyes of an obsessive compulsive metromaniac, Double One Zero, Out of the Shadows, Devi from Heaven, Confessions of an Eternal Junkie, version 1.5, A Glimpse of India in the 80s. Thank you. So I would now request Somu sir to take over this session.
Hello, Jasveer ji. This is how we put our actors on spot and train them as actors because that's how we all learn.
Wonderful
So let's
platform you have.
thank you, sir. And the first question from training at Commonwealth Games, training volunteers at Commonwealth Games. How are you right now in Canada?
I'm an adventurous guy, so I thought let's have another adventure at 40 in life. Normally people come here as students, as maybe 25, 28, something professional. But I've made a move at 40, so that's a challenge. That's a new adventure for me. Uh, I've been into customer service and training and development for about 20, 22 years. So I thought, let's try something new. I started writing in 2018. That is what I'm capitalizing here. I intend to write and publish at least 3 books every year. So that's the aim that I have. But yeah, it was the thrill to do something new that brought me to Canada. Never thought of coming here, but then me and wife, we were talking in 2018. Her brother was already here. That's how we got the idea. We said, let's do something new. Let's try something new. That's what got me to Canada.
So, as writers, sometimes we have a different day job, but your day job is writing, or you
Not
do something like
exactly. No,
okay.
I'm an indie author, so I publish as per wherever I like, but then I need to spend money. Not like
Hmm.
a not like a published author, or rather, I should say a traditionally published author, wherein the publishing house sort of works on the script, they edit it, they develop it, they promote it, they do everything. So the royalty is fairly less over there, but then of course the numbers are pretty huge. Look at Chetan Bhagat, look at Ravinder
Absolutely.
Singh, Savi Sharma. So these guys are the heavyweights. I can't even compare to them. So I
Hmm.
publish through self-publishing tools like Amazon. KDP is there, Ingram Spark is there. Of course, in India now you've got Notion Press, the Suman publication. So these are all self-publishing companies that provide really economical solutions for authors to come to them, submit manuscript, and publish. So yeah, I have a full-time job here as well. I had a full-time job in India as well, but I try and I am rather trying to make writing full-time. I hope I can earn enough to. It's all about earning, right? So I hope I can
Absolutely.
earn from writing enough to be able to do it full-time. I would love that. I would love that.
And we all hope that it happens someday, and it will happen, because I started reading your book, and I was reading it for the session, and then I forgot all about that I know you. So that's the thing about reading a person that you know personally, maybe not for long or whatever, but there is a different idea. I wondered, would I enjoy the book more if I did not have any idea who the author is, because I absolutely love the way you have written it. And one scene that I would like to talk about, I'm jumping ahead, but that mall scene, that was really beautiful, where a boy with a Down syndrome is sitting by the piano, and John Russo joins in.
Yeah.
That was really lovely. It really touched me. So, anything that you want to talk about the book that has just been released?
Right. Let me give you the background for this. I've been in constant lockdown for the last year and a half. I mean, 22 मार्च को इंडिया में शुरू हुआ, and then I came to Canada in August 2020. It's not been 1 year, full 1 year. I'll complete 1 year in Canada very soon. But when I came to Canada, I was in 14 days quarantine. Me and my wife, we were in hotel room. That's mandatory. And then lockdown is continuing. So slowly and steadily, Canada is moving back to normalcy, and I'm sure India is also doing that. But lockdown is a continuous thing for me. मतलब इंडिया में तो आजादी देखी होगी आपने, हमने तो यहाँ पे देखा ही नहीं है, because malls have been closed, so there is practically nowhere to go. And that got me thinking in January. The stress. I'm a student of addictions recovery. I'm doing a diploma here, and we talk a lot about stress जो लोगों को हो रहा है because of lockdown.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking. And I'm a big fan of blues music. Dean Martin. I love these guys. The old school. I love that. And I've seen so many videos of Frank Sinatra singing in casinos. Honestly, that is how I got the idea. Why don't I have a character who's, of course, God bless his soul, Frank Sinatra was not a criminal, but he was a great singer, and people had always linked him to mafia, although it was never proved, right? So that got me an idea. I said, why don't I create a character who's a criminal and then who's also a singer? And there is one scene wherein, of course, when you read it, you would know he's actually in a casino in Las Vegas, wherein he's with a famous singer, and that is how John gets the name Sweets, when the famous singer sort of hears the voice. And when you read it, you will kind of connect that famous singer with Frank Sinatra. So that's how I started thinking about it. And the stress of lockdown and the stress of being in prison for a long time. So John is coming out of prison after 34 years. I hope I have that feeling when I come out of lockdown, and you all also come out of lockdown. So he's 74. And unlike other prisoners who come out at old age after a long time, he does not want to retire. Basically, he wants to make a comeback. He's not looking for a second chance. Although I keep saying he's looking for a second, but he's making a comeback. He's that bit strong. And he wants to be a singer. So he had been a singer all his life, but then he became a criminal. He's an immigrant in Canada. And so he's coming out. Now, he goes through various ups and downs. And I must also share, this was supposed to be a story worth only 5,000 words, a short story.
Oh.
It was named Gangsta Grooves earlier, and it was part of an anthology called Ensemble, which will come up in December. So it was part of a very it was a short story, but then somebody during beta reading said, I love this concept. Why don't you create a full book out of it? And that's how I started working. In February, I started working and finally finished in May, June. Uh, and now it's a full-time book. So that's the background. This is a very, strong guy who's coming out of prison. Now the question would be, does he deserve a second chance? He's a criminal. 34 years wo jail mein reh ke aa raha hai. Does he deserve a second chance? So that's kind of a question I've left unanswered with the readers, and I've left a lot of incomplete stories. There are very short stories of different characters, which I sort of did not want to delve on. I wanted this guy to be the central character. So that's what the incredible Mr. Sweet's coming of age story of an ex-con who finds calling in life through music is about.
And
sir, the scene that we'll talk about is exactly where you stopped. There is a monologue. There is a monologue between him and somebody from his past. So if they love it, they can do it.
Absolutely. Can you share it?
Sure. So now John has come out of the prison and he's been through some experiences. And one of the experience that he goes through is the one that Sonu was talking about. He sort of comes back to Toronto and he's in this big Union station, which is kind of an old station. So he's sitting there after 34 years. And herein he hears somebody playing a piano. It's actually a small kid, a young kid with Down syndrome. So he joins him. That's the scene he was talking about. But the scene that I'm going to talk about is when John goes back to his old house in Toronto. He's here and he wants to meet the landlady who was sort of a mother figure when he started his life here. And, to understand John's character, he's an immigrant whose parents came to Canada in 1930s, right? So pretty early. And he was born in, let's say, 1940s. So you can imagine the struggle that he's gone through. Because of an immigrant, because of being a Sikh, he was bullied throughout his childhood and adult life. So this is the guy who had rage, who became a criminal, and now he wants to become a singer. So if that helps you, that's the character. His real name was Jasveer Singh Brar. He changed it to John Brar, and then he became John Russo. And of course, as a criminal, he's called John Sweets Russo. So that's
why does he want to change his name? Like, why did he change it to John Russo?
I know of a guy called Dan Sandhu. His real name is Davinder Sandhu.
Okay.
I know of somebody called Edwin Peters, but he's actually a Gujarati from India. He's my accountant.
Okay.
So
he wanted to merge with the crowd there.
The problem immigrants are facing, So the rage in him from all the bullying back in 50s and 60s turned him into a criminal. That's how the story is. Right. Okay. So this is the
one thing that I like to say to the actors before you start the scene. So if you guys decide to join Hollywood, then prepare to change your name to something else. Maybe John Samuel. My name would be
yes,
David Joe. David Joe.
Okay.
Okay.
Something to rhyme with your name, sir. Sonu can be Samuel. Samuel would be a good. Samuel would be a good name. Okay.
And what for the last one? Anand.
Samuel Anand is a good name.
Oh, Samuel Anand. Maybe I can use it in Bollywood as well. We have David Dhawan.
David Dhawan, we've got him.
Okay. So coming back to the scene, guys, listen closely. And here we go.
This is John going through his area. He's walking in the same neighborhood he used to live 34 years ago. And he reaches a small alley wherein his old house is located, right? It was here that his journey as John Russo started about 50 years ago. The house was owned by one of Samuel's aunts. Now, Samuel was his friend, of course. He also died before he went to prison. And the rent was relatively minor. He and Samuel remained inseparable till Samuel's death. As John looks at the porch of his old house, his mind is lit up with memories of his initial days here. He steps up onto the porch and lifts the carpet in the corner. He then slides the wood under it, and this reveals a secret compartment. He and Samuel would hide bottles of illegal liquor in this corner of the porch. He knocks at the door and sits at the stairs. The stairs and the porch seem dirty. The scattered leaves on the floor show that the place hasn't been cleaned in a while. After some time, when no one opens the door, John gets up to leave. Can I help you? There's no one in that house. John hears a voice and turns around. It was someone from the neighboring house. I wanted to see Mrs. Russo, John says. Mrs. Russo hasn't been around for a long time, the man says, and John looks dejected. I haven't been here in a while, but I sort of hoped that she might still be around, John says. Can I help you? The man asks, and John looks at the house. Wasn't this house also owned by her family? John asks, looking at the house. Yes, it still is, the man says. Let me open the door. Come on in, you look thirsty, he says. John walks up to the door of the neighboring house and the door opens. It was an old man, probably older than John. Thank you, John says, entering the house. I am Joel, the man says, extending his hand. I am John. John extends his hand, but Joel quickly pulls his hand back. You are John. John Russo? Joel says with a touch of anger in his voice. Yes, John replies calmly. I'm Joel, he says and looks at John. His eyes turn red with anger. I'm sorry, I don't remember you, John says. I am Kathleen Russo's brother, Joel Russo, he says, and John is taken aback. Kathleen, Mrs. Russo died 3 years after you were caught, Joel says with tears in his eyes. I had no idea about this. I'm so sorry, John says remorsefully. Doesn't matter now. She went through hell after you and Samuel became part of the Valerie gang. The police would call her to the station anytime you guys committed a crime. She was asked to give names of everyone who stayed with you and Samuel here. God knows how much trouble was caused to others who lived here. Every time you guys came to the neighborhood, the whole place was turned upside down by the police looking for evidence. Joel says and pauses to drink water. John looks silently. He knew he would have to face this reality sooner or later. Because of you two, she had even run out of money, Joel says. But I sent her money regularly, John says, sounding surprised. She despised your money. She didn't have any tenants, Joel says. I tried to convince her to sell the house and move in with us, but she wouldn't sell it. She lived here alone because no tenant would rent the place for being associated with you two. She treated you all like her own kids, and because of you and Samuel, she suffered so much. Joel says. John stands there looking at Joel for a while. I wish I could apologize to her personally, but I have to live with this burden. I know that an apology won't change anything that I did in the past, but all I can do is say sorry. I'm sorry. John sighs. Joel looks away and John walks out of the house. So this is the scene. Sir, your audio.
Audio, sir.
Apologies. So yeah, I have read the scene and it is really nice, and I think everybody could understand it. The monologue is, I guess, 5-6 lines.
Yeah. 5,
Yeah.
6 lines.
So we can do one thing. Whoever is interested in doing a scene work, you guys can do it on Zoom as well. or just record that portion. So can you send us the text of that scene?
Yes, I can do that. I can.
Okay. And how much time do you have before you have to leave?
Oh no, I'm here. I've got a half an hour. Half an hour.
Oh, great, great.
It's at
Great.
11, so
11.
which means like 8
I
o'clock your time. Yeah.
Oh, I thought that you have to leave, so I was worried. So, any questions, guys? You get what the scene is. The scene is about John Russo coming out of prison and visiting the house that he used to stay in before he was arrested. And at that house, he does not find the landlady, but he finds uh, her brother, who is older than John Russo. And that man tells him about whatever she had to go through, and he apologizes, and then he leaves. So I think it is a beautiful emotional scene, and you would want to do a scene work, that's fine as well. You would need one person to read the scene, and uh, two people can play those characters as good as you can. No need to get into too much of a old voice. What do you say, Jasveer?
Yeah, I think the emotions matter.
Yeah,
Age doesn't
absolutely.
matter.
Hmm.
Age or gender doesn't matter. It's all about emotions. It's about
Absolutely.
somebody who's sort of um, thinking bad for himself and looking at his choices, what he's made and what he's done to
Hmm.
people, who cared for him. So
So if anybody does not have a question, then we can move ahead. Nobody has a question? And the call will end in 8 minutes, so we will join again.
okay.
Okay. So let's. I think I'll talk to you guys about the scene in a different call. And if is there anything that you want to say about the scene that they should take care of, or what is the uh, what should be that point that they have to convey? For example, one person who is playing John and the other character.
Now, imagine that your brother of a lady, who's very nice lady and who's never done anything wrong has to
Hmm.
suffer so much. That is one part. Second is that John is not aware that the lady passed away. So it should kind of come as a shock that, wow, she passed away. And, there is that point in life wherein that thing is there in front of you, but you can't do anything.
Yeah.
That is the kind of emotion I wanted to convey, because he wants to say sorry, but the lady is no longer there. His parents are no longer there. He's remorseful basically. So, it's that point of no return feeling that I wanted to convey. I don't know how you will do it, but that really, really is passionate for me about this, important for me about this scene.
I think we will give our best, and if there is a question, can these people drop you a message on Instagram, and you
Yes,
might
please.
just send an audio reply. So if there is a
Sure.
confusion, you can always send him a text.
I'm
And
leaving my
now,
number. Feel free to get in
okay,
touch.
that's great. Yeah, whoever is present can note down Jasveer's number, and then you can contact him. Okay, guys.
By the way, I'm sorry if you're wondering why am I looking down and not at the camera. My laptop's camera is gone, kaput. So I've installed a separate camera. That's why I'm looking in the laptop at you guys, but then my camera is there. That's why I'm looking down. Sorry.
And that is why your camera quality is much better than us as well. Maybe.
let me read,
Hmm.
part. I thought you should know that. The story, bottom line, it's not about crime, it's not about that. The center point of the story is music. So if you do
Hmm.
read the sort of book, and towards the end, I've just written a small monologue about this. Life is all about choices, so you can always choose between ice hockey or cricket, NHL or IPL, Virat Kohli of Royal Challengers Bangalore, or Austin Matthews of Toronto Maple Leafs. We all make choices. What matters is that we are comfortable about our choices, so that we don't have to hide them from the world. Ultimately, it is all about choices we make, and never make choices just to fit in. Be comfortable with your heritage and yourself. Don't ever change yourself or your appearance to look like someone else. So that's what he did in the beginning, and I thought towards the end I'm going to sort of add that for people who are here, especially Indians who are here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he changed himself to look like a Canadian because he kept on getting bullied. And believe it or not, they are not changing. People are not changing here to look like them. They are changing to look better than them.
Hmm.
That's again a big time. There's a competition. So that's what he did. And the message of the story is, if you do that, you will lose.
Absolutely. And I don't think we can do that monologue because it will be then
Yeah.
it will reveal a lot, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
we can't use it because that's how you're concluding the book. But that would
Exactly.
have been a great one to for us to do,
Okay.
for a solo thing.
I think this scene is very important because this is the first time he's facing somebody after getting
Absolutely.
out. Yeah, and he knows it. So basically, he knows it, but then, of course, emotions hai na. So he
Hmm.
is feeling emotional about that. He's feeling bad, but then he knows at the back of his mind that उसको face करना पड़ेगा इन लोगों को, और जो उसकी
Huh.
family है, he'll have to face that.
Scene quality wise, this is a very good scene for us as actors. We just gauge through emotional requirements in a scene, and this it has a lot for us to do. And I would prefer the role of that um, brother.
Joel, brother,
Yes,
okay.
Joel. Yes. Anybody else? Which one and why? Come on, quickly. And if you wish, you can speak in Hindi as well. There's no uh, it,
Yes,
ऐसा
I
कुछ
so
नहीं है, कोई सेशन नहीं है.
sorry. English is my bread and butter, so I write in English. But then I would love to hear my book in Hindi.
हाँ, आप ट्रांसलेट भी कर सकते हैं अगर चाहें तो. अलाउड
Okay.
है.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I am all for it.
Great. So we need a champion who will translate the scene, and let's see. Mudit, you have anything to say?
I can translate.
Okay, great. I think it would be an amazing experience. So I will do one thing. We will have a session which is on live as well, where we'll do the scene, perform the scene, and then talk about the book next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will not have a Zoom session. We'll have a Instagram live, and that will be interesting. Let's see how many people prepare it. That's the greater question.
I'm interested in the music part of the book because I'm learning music myself.
Yeah, that was the confusion for me as well because he's a musician. So, and because of copyright issues, I couldn't include lyrics by other singers. So I've got only names. For example, My Way by Frank Sinatra. But I requested two poets. One is a lyricist, Pranay Sharma, and the other one is Kavita Bhutani. So they've written two songs for me, which are part of the book.
Cool.
Okay.
And I was
guess
looking at that video as well. There's one promotional video, I guess, which
Yes,
shows.
yeah, but then yeah, I couldn't manage original music for it. I would love to get music for it, and And John plays piano, so I've requested a couple of guys who are piano players here, who can create music out of them, if not words, but at least music. But then
I'm
it
learning
might take
piano
time.
myself.
Oh,
I'm learning
wow.
piano myself.
Wow.
That's what interested.
You should read the book, Mudit, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you'll enjoy. So, the official session, I think we can conclude, and then we will have a chat where nobody is conscious. So the scene we have the scene, and I think we all are excited. Thank you, Jasveer. Thank you for the scene. And next week, we will do the scene work Instagram live. So everybody who has prepared and you tell us before, we will include you. So Jasveer will be there.